The Seattle Sounders returned to practice today, and there was some good news on the injury front.
Any insight to what he's going to be doing?
So he is out of surgery, and the surgery went well. So the repair, I'm not going to go into weeds, but it was a good repair. Dr. Belfi was happy with the outcome, and now he's just got to make sure that he's in a sling for an extended period of time. Then there'll be a little bit of where he can start to move, and it's going to be non-contact for quite some time. I believe they said around 6 weeks. I'll obviously update you as time gets a little closer. But it's a pretty significant injury because the healing process has to take, because, soccer players shoulder to shoulder, we don't want them to take another tumble. So we're going to have to be cautious when he does get back out on the grass. But overall, it's a positive outcome as far as the surgery is concerned. No, 6 weeks before he can just be out on the grass and kind of run around. I mean, he's going to be in a sling. There's some good news, some positive news. I mean, injuries are always bummers, but this was actually a bit of good news. So JP had the surgery, same surgery that did the Dr. Mandelbaum down in LA. And when they went in there, his ACL was intact. And so they did a cleanup of the knee. There was some meniscus damage, there was some other things, but they basically did a cleanup. And so we will have JP back this season. That we're going to wait till he's back up here, but I can probably tell you that it's 6 to 8 weeks, maybe from the date of injury. Had it just been a meniscus, which it was at the end, same timeline. That timeline didn't change. It was just a cleanup, and I'm just so happy, and JP's obviously very happy, and his teammates are happy. We let them know the news, and so that's good. And JP, when he comes back, talked about Albert, talked about Alex, talked about Danny. We talked about multiple things. There's not really one person that's exactly like Christian, so that's always challenging. So depending on the game, depending on the situation, we'll have a bit of fixture congestion coming up with the Leagues Cup games, and I'll try and take some miles off him there. How we do it will depend on the opponent, all that sort of stuff.
Brian, what do you need in that position? Just staying, I know, like you said, it depends on the opponent, but is it more of a defensive? Is somebody that can break the lines on the passes?
I mean, look, Cruz Azul is a really good team.
Yeah.
And in that game, I would say we're going to need, some defending. But if you're on top of a team, you've got a lead, and you want to protect the lead with possession, there's other guys that can fit in there. The Leagues Cup might be the debut of a guy like Snyder. It might be a chance for, one of those guys to step up and see what they have. So pairs, players, getting some minutes off. I understand your question. Opportunities for some young guys. We'll see how it all comes together. Well, I know everybody's happy with his debuting on the left side. The way San Jose plays with a 5-man back line and their best attacking option higher up the field attacking, I think that allowed Pedro a little bit more time and space. That was a direct tactic from us. Pedro was going to be the highest, widest guy because we wanted to pin Espinosa back. We wanted to make Espinosa defend. And in a couple of those moments where Pedro was kind of hanging out and he got those transition moments, where was Espinosa in those moments? He was higher up the field. So tactics worked right for the game. But having said that, look, let's be honest. Pedro had a really fantastic game. He was doing the work in training the last couple of weeks. He wanted to prove, and now he did it. Now he's got to come back and have a good game against Atlanta, and then he put himself in the conversation. Well, we're still working on the final lineups. Obviously, you knew who is available for selection. So we'll see how that plays out. A lot of conversation today after training about kind of what our thoughts are towards Atlanta.
Brian, how much is it in terms of, I know maybe they already know it, but the message of consistency? We've talked about several players that have really had 1 or 2 games, but how important is it for them to continue to do that?
Well, consistency is an interesting question in the vein of an individual performance. Yes, they have to do that to keep their place in the team. You just interviewed Jesus. I think he's been pretty consistent over the last bit of time, and he's been very good. Now, I would say consistency as far as the squad is concerned. I mean, we had 11 games left plus the Leagues Cup, so we're gonna have to find a consistent lineup because the games are exciting. 3-2 and then 3-3 and then 3-2. They were exciting games, but the back line, the consistency on the back line or lack thereof, and Andrew filling in for Steph. I mean, we need to get some consistency in the group, and that's why I'm making these choices with Pedro and some of the other guys that are playing well and coming back from injuries.
All right, so there you go. You heard Brian Smether just talk about Joao Paulo, 6 to 8 weeks. Also, Jordan Morris, 6 to 8 weeks. Sounds like a long time, but you know what? The good news is this. The bottom line, both players will be able to return before the season is over. Now, in terms of the players that are healthy, the back line is ready, and Yamar could see a full 90 minutes. Don't know that Kim Keehee was out here practicing, so that collective back line looks healthy now. In terms of the mid-block, the 6 and the 8, Christian Rodan and also Obed Vargas, those 2 players are need of respite. So that's something that Brian talked about. And also Freddie Juarez, a little bit about that. What does the team have to do to give those guys a rest? I mean, they've been playing since the Club World Cup pretty much all 90 minutes. And it's something that cannot be sustainable. And overall, Brian is looking for some consistency, not only from each individual player, but the team as a whole. You score 3 goals in 3 games, but you also give up 7 goals in those 3 games, which is not so much. But Brian Smetzer will look at all week today, trying to find who can then now step up, help with this rotation as the team travels to Atlanta for Saturday's game with Atlanta United from the training facility here in Renton, the Sounders training facility. I'm Osvita Mario for the CascadiaSports.net report. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.